What's going on, fellow Illuminaries and Titan Nation? Welcome back in. I'm Lord Thanos, the Mad Titan of the Illuminary. So I just got back from my trip to the Walt Disney World Resort. That's why there wasn't content last week, as I was working, and then I was gone for most of the week. So what I wanted to do today is share my quick thoughts on the big lorecast that happened last week. And then I want to talk about my trip and just show off some stuff. Today's going to be a little bit of an unorthodox video for me. So initially I had a video planned, and I was actually working on it while I was gone, about all the news that came out, but by the time it would have been ready, it would have been like 3 or 4 days too late. And at that point in time, I was joining the Ice Cream Social, which you can find on the Lorcana Chats channel. I'll put a link to that down below for you guys. So I made an appearance on that while on vacation. I didn't talk much because I was sick. I still may sound a little bit sick, but I'm a lot better than what I was on there when I basically didn't say much at all. But I also didn't talk because I felt like everyone else on the panel did a really good job at just voicing all the thoughts I had anyway, so I didn't see the point in saying anything. To everyone else, thank you. So real quick, Reign of Jafar has been awesome. I'm really behind on reveals just due to getting back into life and being sick and all that. So the set's just about done getting revealed, so I want to really deep dive. But from what I've seen, there's so much content coming here on the channel, both on a competitive and a social casual level. I'm super excited for Reign of Jafar. Fabled is amazing so far. That collection binder, I've got to get the promo version of this girl right here. I love the new rarities of Epic and Iconic. I definitely got to get those. The reprints look amazing. I'm super excited about rotation. I'm glad that I've been calling it right for months about how it's going to work. If you don't believe me, I've got past videos where I've talked about rotation. I'm super excited for rotation, and then I'm glad that there's going to be a infinite constructed format for DLCs whenever we get that announcement at Worlds, they said. So I think the game's headed in the right direction. I know I've been pretty critical lately, but I'm very happy of where things are going. Yeah, the only misstep is that lack of DLC info in an official judge program, but I think that's probably going to get announced at Worlds. So that being said, let's dive on into my trip. I just wanted to show also some fun stuff I picked up. So first thing is I got this cool Headless Horseman pin. I'm a big fan of the Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad. And I love the Headless Horseman, so we picked that up. While I was at the outlet off 535, the one in Violin, I got this really cool Tron mug. Something most people don't know about me is I love Tron. I watch the original Tron all the time, so it says greeting programs. It's got the recognizers on it. And then it's got the Encom and Tron logo. And then on the inside says end of line, to quote the MCP. While I was there, I went to the Crocs outlet because I was looking for the Goku and Vegeta Crocs, but those are sold out and I have big feet, so I need the larger sizes. If you've seen my studio tour, which you can find up here, you guys know I'm a massive Dragon Ball fan, and so I got at least the 5-pack giblet set, and then I also found this individual Thanos giblet. So I need to put these on my Crocs, get myself some purple Crocs, and attach him on there. And then also at that outlet, again, all about branding, I got this digital watch cover that is the Infinity Gauntlet. I bought it just because, quite honestly, it's like $4 or $5. I don't even own a digital watch, but I bought it for branding purposes. So eventually when I get a digital watch, I'm assuming this is primarily for like an Apple Watch or something like that. So once I get that, I can put this on, and I can wear that around to set champs and DLC events when you guys see me. So you guys might have noticed, if you've been watching me for a while, I've made some changes, and I picked up at the outlet this Fantasia mug. You guys know I love brooms, and I love the Sorcerer's Apprentice, and so got this really cool Fantasia mug, and the stir is a broom. So I was like, that is an absolute need. Have to get that. Sit on my shelf. At the Christmas store at Disney Springs, picked up a new Sorcerer Mickey. And then, as you'll see behind me, so this was my big item get. It's the Sorcerer Mickey statue here. So for Disney, it was pretty reasonable. It was only like $35-40. So for Disney, that's pretty reasonable. And then sticking with the broom theme, I got a Sorcerer Mickey Fantasia shirt. Wanted to show you guys the box that the figure came in. So there's the box, and it's got scenes from Sorcerer's Apprentice on it. It says Fantasia on the top. It's a pretty big box, actually. And then, of course, talking about the Christmas store earlier, as you guys know, I am a massive fan of Mr. J. Thaddeus Toad up here. Look how awesome this was. I was super excited when I saw this in the Christmas store. I got this Mr. Toad ornament, and on the back says Walt Disney presents Mr. Toad. So I've got to find a way to display that on my shelf. I met Sorcerer Mickey and had him sign a playful sorcerer for me. So I wasn't sure how a cold foil would do, so I just did the regular one. Not going to have him sign like a D23 promo because that card's kind of expensive. Still working on getting my playset of those too, but just little things like that. It's kind of just things that I've started to do. I think this is actually a really cool like way to engage with the park on a different level. Because like my wife and I talk, like we don't do character stuff as much as like we probably should, and so I think this is a great way to do it. And if you're down in Orlando visiting the Walt Disney World Resort, Sorcerer Mickey is at Hollywood Studios. So you meet Minnie, and then you go down the hall, and there's a Mickey segment. Of course, as you see by my photos, it's themed for the Sorcerer's Apprentice. Got a spell book and brooms and all that fun stuff, so it's just kind of a given for me. Hey there, so real quick, if you're enjoying the content, if you could do me a massive favor, be sure to like, subscribe, and click that bell so you get notified of when I upload new videos every Tuesday and Friday. And let me know down below what you think of the video. All right, back to the video. And this part of the video is why I said that this video is going to be a little unorthodox for me. Because it's not strictly Lorcana focus, and just want to try to give you guys more personal history of myself and of be a little bit more, I guess, vulnerable is the only word I can think of for this. So I went down there due to the upcoming closure of Muppet Vision 3D and the Muppets area at Disney's Hollywood Studios, and then the closure of Dinosaur at Disney's Animal Kingdom. And though Dinosaur is not closing until later in the year, because Worlds is a closed event for us, just due to the nature of my work, I'm not going to be able to probably go back down before it closes. And so this was the final time that I got to do all this. And so for Dinosaur, I picked up this Time Rover as a way to commemorate it. At my mom's house, I actually had my original 1998 Carnotaurus in a bin somewhere to preserve that, but eventually I'm going to get that back and display them. But it was important for me to go down because I've been doing that attraction since it was, Countdown to Extinction, and then once Dinosaur came out with Aladar, made into Dinosaur. But I've been doing that attraction since that park opened, and I've always loved dinosaurs, especially as a kid growing up in the '90s. It was very much a big dinosaur craze. Of course, we had, '93 especially was a big year for dinosaurs, with the release of like Jurassic Park, and then we got Mighty Morphin Power Rangers here in the U.S. And of course, that season of Super Sentai in Japan is of course based around dinosaurs, and so dinosaurs have always been something that I've really enjoyed, and this attraction, is something that's very special to me. When I moved from when I was younger, because I'm originally from Orlando, and then after my parents split, my mom and I moved to Texas. And when we moved to Atlanta, because my immediate family is in Atlanta, on my mom's side, my first day of school, the first friend that I made, who's no longer with us, unfortunately, he had a magazine called Disney Adventure, and on that cover, it had a dinosaur on it, and it was for a preview of Dinoland USA, because Disney's Animal Kingdom was about to open, and they were showcasing, just snippets of like what was going to be a part of Dinoland USA. And so I remember seeing that, and that just like blew my mind, as a 10, 11-year-old. It was just like, there's a new like Disney park coming, there's a fourth gate, and it's going to have dinosaurs. Like, that is awesome. And so I asked repeatedly, and typically in the summers, like I would like go stay with my dad for a week or two, and then come back just to get some time with him. And so that summer, my dad and my now stepmom, they took me, and that's actually the last time that my dad and I have actually really been to Disney or done anything like that since then. Not to go too personal into that, but we don't have a relationship anymore. If you are estranged from parents or siblings or family members, you can understand that situation. But not to go too far into that, I don't really want to talk about that right now. But so that's kind of like a core memory, is like he's like was willing to do that, and he's not a big theme park person anyways, and so that was kind of like a core memory for me. And obviously, like, I've done dinosaur since then with my mom, like my now wife, and like friends, and like school trips and stuff like that. But just due to like my love of dinosaurs and like that core memory, like dinosaur is like very important to me. The film's not that great, quite honestly. It's from like 2000, like 99, 2000. But that's like what the attraction is based off of. It was kind of like really just surreal when like we were getting ready to go for the day, and I was like, all right, like this is like the final time, like I'm gonna get to ride this attraction, because I know when they change it over to Indy, which I do think is a mistake, it's pretty much the same ride vehicle. They're gonna keep the track in place and then just make some theming aesthetic changes and call it a day. That's what Disney does. I don't really agree with the changes. I don't see what Indy has to do, with Animal Kingdom in particular. They have, and we're going to talk about this with Muppets, but they have all this land that they don't use down in Florida. They could easily build a fifth gate, make it Pixar. That's kind of my big thing about Muppets, is you have all this land. You could literally make a Pixar park, but that's neither here nor there. They're clearly not going to do that. So as we come to, that final turn where, you do that dip where the Carnotaurus, launches out at you, pretty similar to the Jurassic Park River Adventure, well, not Jurassic World, that at Universal Studios Orlando, for Islands of Adventure. Pretty similar kind of ending, except a much bigger drop for Jurassic Park. But, it was kind of, again, just like bittersweet. It was like, yeah, I'm always going to have that memory, but it's the end of something that I enjoy, and it's like a piece of me is like going away with it. And that really hit home with me with the Muppets. And unfortunately, I don't understand why Hollywood studios or even really anywhere on Walt Disney World property on the resort didn't have anything from Muppet Vision 3D, given that it closes next month, unless they're saving it. But I got this Muppet pin here. I have some other Muppet stuff here at my house, but that's what I got for this. It was the only real Muppet thing I could find. It has my two favorite Muppets on it, so obviously got to have Kermit. And I really love Fozzie. I feel like Fozzie's a little bit of like a misunderstood character, a little bit, and along with like Gonzo. But I've always really enjoyed Fozzie. I've always found him funny. Even his cheap 3D tricks, always been a good time. So yeah, Muppets. That one really hurts. And the reason why is, I've been going to these parks my entire life, and I've been especially MGM when it was Disney MGM Studios and now Disney's Hollywood Studios. That's been my favorite park for a long time, and I know people like to crap on Michael Eisner a lot. Some of it's deserved and some of it isn't, but to be fair. But I do think like opening that park was like such a really good idea that he and Frank Wells had, and that park's always been my favorite for what it was originally and like what it evolved into. I'm not a big fan of it in its current state, but for what it was, is as someone I've always loved movies, and for me as someone who's been a only child, and movies are and animation have always been sort of a safe haven and a bit of an escape for me. And I've always been fascinated with how movies are made, how animation is done. I always thought, like, my dream was always to be a part of the Walt Disney Company and make movies. And unfortunately, as much as like my parents claim to like love Disney, they never supported that. They're both from the generation, they're baby boomers, so they come from the generation of needing stable work, all that stuff, where if you know me on a personal level, I am very much more of a risk taker with my careers. I am very much a entrepreneur. I bet on myself and I take chances, and that is something that for people who rely on stable paychecks, they don't understand that philosophy, and it's part of what has led to the current situation that I'm in with both my parents. And the thing is, like, the only person who's ever really backed me on that, outside of my wife, obviously, is my grandma on my mom's side, who's no longer with us, but she's always had my back on that. And unfortunately, when it was time for me to go to school, and that's what I wanted to do, my guidance counselor when I was in high school shot it down. My mom backed the counselor, so she shot that down. But the hypocritical thing about it is that both my mom and my dad got to major in what they wanted to in college, and so that never really sat right with me. So yeah, that's part of what caused the divide between us. And I've, it's is what it is. And sure, so some people could say, well, you could still get like student loans, yada yada. Yes, so obviously that was a no-go. So school wise, had to go a different route, which ended up not working out. Muppets, I really feel like Jim Henson, kind of like George Lucas, like in Spielberg, with like Jurassic Park, like, but the Muppets have been around for like 70 years. Like like Jim Henson like really hit on something like really special. And as someone who like loves Hollywood Studios, or I loved what it was, I love the memory of it. Is this really hurts because I haven't felt gutted like this about anything like leaving an attraction since the Great Movie Ride closed. The Great Movie Ride has always been my favorite attraction at Walt Disney World. Even when Mr. Toad's Wild Ride was there at Magic Kingdom. And it's because of how much I love movies. And when I started working for the company, I worked for the Walt Disney Company for 8.5 years, both in the parks and other various aspects of the company. My home park is Epcot, so I have an appreciation for Epcot. But as I said, Hollywood Studios has always been my favorite park, and when Great Movie Ride closed, that really hurt, because not only was it my favorite attraction, but while I was working for the company, I met a friend of mine named John, and he worked on the Great Movie Ride. And when I say worked on, he wasn't, like a cast member, like an attractions cast member. He did costume design, and he designed one of the pairs of ruby slippers that the Wicked Witch wore for the Wizard of Oz sequence. And so when that attraction closed, unfortunately he's no longer with us either. But when that attraction closed, I wasn't only saying goodbye to my favorite attraction for something that is far inferior. You could say I'm biased. I don't really care. I absolutely hate Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, or whatever they call it. I absolutely hate that attraction. But it felt like I wasn't only saying goodbye to my favorite attraction. It felt like I was saying goodbye to my friend, and that really hurt. And now with Muppets going away from Monsters Inc., as I've gotten older, I'm closer to 40 than 21. So my birthday's in a couple months. I'm not quite 40. But as of especially these past few years, and really these past few months, things about like life and death and the finality of things has really started to set in, and you could say like approaching like a midlife crisis or an existential crisis, which is true. But it's like you have this thing that is like, I've been fortunate enough to have be such a big part of my life for over 30 years, and suddenly like it's just being taken away. And it's just like, it's like the last piece of like what was one of the original parts of this park is like going away. And it's like the part that I love is no longer there. And quite honestly, it's not going to be long before they get rid of the Indiana Jones Epic Stunt Spectacular. I don't think Dial of Destiny did all that great. I know Harrison's probably done with the role. And so, I think Indy's kind of lost a lot of his steam lately. And I definitely could see that going too. And my thing with Hollywood Studios now is like, it feels like a leftover park. It feels like Disney doesn't know what to do with it. And that's where like a lot of my issues come in is, they expanded on Toy Story, and then they built, Galaxy's Edge / Batuu, if you want to get straight up about it. But they goofed on both, quite honestly. And then now, Monsters Inc. had its time to shine 20 years ago. Over, actually, 20 years ago. Why now? And again, that's the point I made earlier, is that you have all this land, use it to make like a fifth gate and make it Pixar themed, make it I know ideally you want to make it Marvel, but you've got a whole rights issue, theme park wise, with Universal, and I'm not versed in the legality of all that and how that's going to work. But I know ideally that's what you would want. But I mean, or even like you could have made it Star Wars, and you could have done like an area for the prequels and the original trilogy and the sequel trilogy, and then that way everyone would have been happy, instead of what it is and what it turned into. So that's the thing, is like being in that area, looking at the Miss Piggy Statue of Liberty fountain, just going to Pizza Rizzo one last time. And I've been going to that restaurant since it was Pizza Planet back when Toy Story came out. It's just, so it's like, I have a lot of like just memories tied up in that area. Sad to see like Mama Melrose go away. So it's just like this final memory of what Hollywood Studios was. It's just gone, and it's like a giant part of me is gone, with it. And as I said earlier, as someone who's been thinking about like the latter half of life, like it's really, I guess, difficult. Yeah, it was just that was a really long, like, emotional day, saying goodbye to something that's been a part of like the vast majority of my life. And honestly, like, I don't think Disney really needs to get rid of it either, because during the show, um, I saw it several times, and during the show, there are kids who were between like 2 to probably like 8 years old, who were like having the like time of their life, probably just experiencing the Muppets for the very first time. And yes, I know, like, they've done like the Muppets and then like Muppets Most Wanted, and they did that show like 5 or 10 years ago. They keep trying, and I know the Muppets keep like failing. And yes, Muppet Vision 3D is very distinctly late 80s, early 90s, but that's part of the charm of it, right? Like, that's what makes the Muppets. And so, the only thing I can say is just, that I'm grateful I've been able to experience both of these attractions for as long as I have been. And, yes, I'll always have like the memory of it. And I know Disney has said that they're going to record and preserve the footage for Muppet Vision, so it's not gone forever, which I'm eternally grateful for. But yeah, that's it. I just wanted to kind of talk about my trip and show some stuff off and do something a little bit different here on the channel today. I know it's a long one, and I know most people probably didn't even make it this far, but I hope people kind of understand maybe like where I'm coming from and just why this is just so important to me on a personal level. We have a big video coming on Saturday. That's right, not Friday. It's going to be on Saturday, because this Saturday is the 1 year anniversary of the channel. So I have a video coming out all about just celebrating the channel and celebrating you guys. Be sure to be on the lookout for that. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Later. That's going to do it for today's video. Be sure to give me one of these. It's super impactful and helping this video find other Illuminaires such as yourself. If you like the Lorcana content here on the channel and you want to see more, tighten smash that subscribe button and click that bell so you get notified of when I upload new videos every Tuesday and Friday. Also, be sure to let me know down below what you thought of this video, and you can follow me on the artist formerly known as Twitter on X at LorcanaThanos, and I'm on Blue Sky as well at LorcanaThanos. Thanks for watching, and I think you might enjoy these. And remember, the hardest choices require the strongest wills.